We are at the most critical juncture in the 3IATLAS observation timeline. Right now, as I speak, multiple space agencies are tracking behavior that could determine whether this object is natural or artificial. The next 72 hours will provide data that may answer the most profound question humanity has ever asked: are we alone? And the answer, whatever it is, might be heading away from us at 20 kilometers per second. Let me be direct about what's happening. 3IATLAS has passed perihelion, its closest approach to the Sun, and is now in the critical post-perihelion phase. For astronomers, this is the moment of truth. This is the moment when any probe or vessel would complete its solar observations and potentially alter its behavior. This is also the moment when natural comets begin their predictable, steady decline in activity as they move away from the Sun's heat. 3IATLAS is doing neither. It's exhibiting a third pattern, one we have never observed before. The activity level is oscillating. It's not declining smoothly as expected. It's not remaining constant. It is pulsing, with a regular clockwork period. Every 6.8 hours, the object's brightness increases by 30%. It holds for approximately 40 minutes, then it decreases back to baseline. As of this recording, this has repeated 18 times with mathematical precision. Natural processes do not behave this way. Geological processes are chaotic. Thermal processes follow exponential curves. Regular, sustained oscillations require feedback mechanisms. They require control systems. They require regulation. Now, NASA isn't calling it artificial. Not yet. Their official statement describes it as interesting periodic outgassing behavior, possibly related to rotation and surface feature distribution. But I've seen the internal discussions. I've talked to the researchers analyzing the data. They are deeply troubled. Why? Because the rotation period doesn't match the oscillation period. We've measured the object's rotation. It tumbles every 11.7 hours. The brightness, however, cycles every 6.8 hours. Those aren't harmonic. They are independent, decoupled periodicities. That requires two separate processes operating on the same object at the same time. Here's why this moment is so critical. If 3IATLAS is an artificial probe and it was here to survey our solar system, it has now completed its primary objective. It observed our Sun at perihelion. It measured solar radiation across all wavelengths. It potentially analyzed our planets as it passed through. If it is ever going to communicate or reveal itself more overtly, this is when it would happen, before it moves too far away. Before it leaves the detection range of our most powerful instruments. The trajectory data shows something remarkable. After that 800-kilometer deviation, we detected at perihelion. 3IATLAS has maintained a consistent new path, no further corrections. But here's what's significant. If you project that new path forward, accounting for solar gravity and galactic motion, the object will pass within 200,000 kilometers of Mars in approximately 93 days. That is close. That is uncomfortably close for a random trajectory. How? The probability of an unguided object naturally passing that close to a planet after entering our system from interstellar space is less than 1 in 10,000. Some researchers argue it's just a coincidence that we're seeing patterns in randomness because we want to find meaning. But the statistics don't support that interpretation. When you account for all the anomalies, the shutdown, the pulsing magnet, the 800-kin maneuver, and the resulting Mars flyby, you are looking at a probability so low, it strains credibility to call it natural. We are either witnessing an astronomically unlikely series of coincidences, or 3IATLAS is maneuvering toward Mars intentionally. Why Mars? That's the question that keeps me awake. Mars is the most explored planet in our solar system besides Earth. We have multiple rovers on the surface, multiple satellites in orbit. We have been broadcasting radio signals from Mars for decades. If an intelligence wanted to study our technological capability, Mars is the obvious target. It's a flashing beacon that demonstrates what we can do beyond our home planet. It's a sign of our level of development. Or maybe Mars isn't a target at all. Maybe Mars is a tool, a gravitational assist. Maybe 3IATLAS intends to use Mars's gravity to alter its course again, to slow down, to enter a bound, stable orbit within our solar system instead of just passing. That would be the logical next step for a survey mission. First, a high-speed pass to gather basic data, then return, use planetary assist to decelerate, enter orbit, and conduct extended observation. The magnetic field measurements are continuing to show that regular clockwork pulse, a 4.7-second period, unchanged since we first detected it. That consistency is what's most troubling. Natural magnetic fields vary. They respond to environmental changes, solar wind fluctuations, temperature shifts, rotation. The fact that this pulse remains constant, despite the object moving through wildly different conditions, suggests it's generated by a stable internal process. Power generation, perhaps, a reactor. Or maybe an energy storage system charging and discharging cyclically. We attempted something unprecedented 2 days ago. The Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico, before its tragic collapse, transmitted a focused, high-power radio message toward 3IATLAS. It wasn't the first time we'd sent a message, but it was the first time we'd aimed one at a known interstellar target. That 1974 Arecibo message was a simple bitmap image, 1679 bits, that showed our numbering system, the atomic numbers of key elements, the structure of DNA, a graphic of a human, and our solar system. It was a basic hello from humanity. The new message was similar. Basic mathematical sequences, prime numbers, the Pythagorean theorem, basic chemical formulas. If there is intelligence aboard or controlling that object, they should recognize those patterns as artificial, as a communication attempt. The response or the lack thereof will tell us something. If we receive a reply, that's it. Game over. Definitive proof of artificial origin and intelligence. If we receive no reply, it's ambiguous. Maybe the object is natural. Maybe it's artificial but non-responsive. Maybe it detected our signal but chose not to respond. Maybe our transmission was too weak. Maybe it uses communication methods we can't even detect, like quantum entanglement. Silence doesn't prove anything, but a response would prove everything. While we wait for a reply that may never come, China launched a mission yesterday. They didn't announce it publicly, but independent satellite trackers detected it. A Long March 5 rocket lifting off from Wenchang with an unusual high-energy trajectory. When you calculate the orbital mechanics, there's only one reasonable conclusion. They're attempting a fast flyby of 3IATLAS. This spacecraft, likely a variant of their Zhanghe probe, won't rendezvous or match velocity. It'll scream past at an incredibly high relative speed. But in those few minutes of close approach, it can gather data we can't get from Earth. Close-range imagery, high-resolution spectrometry, direct magnetometry, radiation measurements. Crucially, it can measure the mass precisely by analyzing its gravitational interaction. This changes everything strategically. If China obtains this close-range data first, they control the narrative. They will be the ones to decide what information to release and when. If they confirm it's artificial, they can leverage that discovery for unimaginable geopolitical advantage. The United States is scrambling. I know this from sources inside NASA and the DoD. They are evaluating rapid launch options. Can they get a spacecraft to 3IATLAS before it moves out of practical range? The technical answer is yes, barely, if they launch within the next month. But the political and financial answer is far more complicated. Congress hasn't appropriated funds. The White House hasn't prioritized it. The bureaucracy moves at a glacial pace, even in a potential crisis. By the time all the approvals come through, the opportunity might be gone. Europe is coordinating, but their Comet Interceptor mission, while perfectly designed for this, isn't ready to launch for another few years. Russia has expressed interest but lacks the funding. India is considering options. Japan has the technical capability but political constraints. The international community is failing to respond with the urgency this event demands. And that failure might mean we miss our only chance to understand what 3IATLAS really is. Let me talk about what we're observing right now in real time. The oscillating brightness I mentioned, we're in hour 4 of the current bright phase. Multiple telescopes are tracking it. The spectroscopic analysis shows the emission lines are changing during the bright phases. More complex molecules appear. More energetic transitions. Then, during the dim phases, the chemistry simplifies, the energy drops. It's as if the object is cycling between active and inactive states, turning systems on and off. The thermal imaging is equally strange. During these bright phases, hot spots appear on the surface, always in the same three locations. Three distinct regions heat up by 40 Kelvin, then cool back down during the dim phases. Hot spots in consistent locations, despite the object's rotation, suggest fixed features. Structures, maybe apertures opening and closing, maybe radiators dissipating heat from internal processes. Natural geology doesn't create repeating thermal patterns synchronized with brightness variations that don't match the rotation. And then yesterday we detected something else, radio emissions, weak but detectable. Not at any frequency matching natural processes, not the hydrogen line, not hydroxyl, not any molecular transition we recognize. We detected a signal at 3.14159 gigahertz. Does that frequency mean anything to you? 3.14159 pi. The ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter transmitted at a frequency numerically equal to pi, that is not subtle, that is not ambiguous, that is mathematics, that is intelligence saying, we are here, and we understand the fundamental constants of the universe. NASA is being extremely careful. Their press releases talk about unusual electromagnetic signatures requiring further analysis. They're not using the words signal, transmission, or message. They are maintaining plausible deniability. But internally, the discussions are far more direct. People are using words like probe, contact, and first encounter. The public isn't being told because no one has figured out how to tell us without causing a panic or without being accused of jumping to conclusions. But I am a scientist and I am bound by the evidence. The evidence is overwhelming. We have an object from another star system exhibiting regular clockwork brightness oscillations independent of its rotation, a consistent pulsing magnetic field from an internal source, an 800-kilometer trajectory change without visible propulsion, repeating localized thermal hotspots on its surface. And now, radio emissions at a frequency matching a fundamental mathematical constant. The probability of all of these being natural phenomena, all occurring at the same time on the same object, is functionally zero. The only question remaining is whether it's functional or derelict, whether it's aware of us or oblivious, whether it's benign or poses a risk. This is why this moment is so critical. In the next 72 hours, we will gather enough data from this new transmission to move from speculation to conclusion. Either 3IATLAS will respond to our Arecibo message, or it won't. Either the oscillations will continue following their mathematical pattern, or they'll become chaotic, suggesting a system failure. Either the trajectory will continue toward Mars, or it will change again, revealing active maneuvering. Every hour provides new data that narrows the possibilities. The scientific community is now fiercely divided on what we should do. Some argue for aggressive attempts at communication. Broadcast more powerful signals on multiple frequencies with complex messages demonstrating our mathematical and scientific knowledge. Show whoever or whatever is controlling that object that we're intelligent, capable, and worth talking to. Others argue for extreme caution. We don't know the intentions behind 3IATLAS. Broadcasting our presence might be catastrophically dangerous. This is the dark forest argument, a concept popularized by author Cixin Liu in his novel, The Three-Body Problem. The theory states that the universe is a dark forest, full of silent hunters, civilizations. The only way to survive is to stay quiet. Any civilization that makes a sound that reveals its location is immediately destroyed by any other civilization that hears it. Not out of malice, but out of fear. It's the ultimate survival strategy, kill or be killed. For decades, this debate has raged in the SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence community. Passive SETI, just listening, has always been seen as safe. Active SETI, like the Arecibo message, is seen by many as screaming into the jungle, a reckless act that could doom us all. I fall somewhere in the middle. I think we should communicate, but carefully. Because if 3IATLAS is a probe from an advanced civilization, they already know we're here. They've been observing us. They saw our lights. They heard our radio signals. Staying silent doesn't hide us. It just means we're not participating in the conversation. The Mars approach in 93 days provides a deadline. If we're going to do something, launch a mission, establish meaningful communication, or coordinate an international response, we need to do it before then. Once Atlas passes Mars and continues outward, the opportunities diminish rapidly. Every day it travels another 1.7 million kilometers. Every week makes an intercept mission more difficult. Every month reduces the resolution of our observations. Here's what should happen, but probably won't. The United Nations should convene an emergency session. Every nation with space capabilities should contribute resources. We should launch multiple missions, fast flybys, slow rendezvous probes, maybe even an attempt to land something on the surface. We should coordinate global telescope time. We should establish international protocols for communication. We should prepare the public for the possibility of first contact. We should act like this is as important as it obviously is. Instead, we're going to muddle through bureaucratic delays, political disagreements, and national competition. China will do their flyby and maybe share the data, maybe not. NASA will eventually get approval for a mission that launches too late. Europe will form committees that issue reports. And 3IATLAS will continue its journey outward while we argue. The tragedy is that this might be our only chance. And there's another possibility that terrifies me. What if 3IATLAS is a test? What if the civilization that sent it is watching how we respond? Testing if we're developed enough to notice the anomalies, smart enough to distinguish artificial from natural, unified enough to respond coherently, curious enough to investigate, peaceful enough to approach without aggression. Maybe first contact isn't about them revealing themselves to us. Maybe it's about us proving we're ready to be revealed to. If that's the case, we're failing. Our response has been fragmented, slow, secretive, and competitive. We're not showing unity. We're showing the same tribalism that's plagued our species throughout its history. Maybe that's why they're staying silent. Maybe they're waiting for us to do better. The oscillations continue. 19 cycles now. Every 6.8 hours, like clockwork, the magnetic pulse continues. Every 4.7 seconds, unchanged, the radio emission at pi gigahertz continues. The trajectory toward Mars continues. All these patterns, all these mathematical signatures continuing whether we pay attention or not. The universe is offering us knowledge, and we're too distracted to receive it properly. I'm told there's another transmission planned for tomorrow, more powerful than the first. Multiple dishes, coordinated messages in multiple formats. Pictures, sounds. The Voyager Golden Record approach, but targeted. If there's intelligence aboard, this should get their attention. And if they choose to respond, the world changes forever. But I'm preparing for silence. Not because I think the object is natural. I'm now convinced it's artificial. But because I think it might be damaged. A probe that malfunctioned millions of years ago, still executing partial programming. The oscillations might be a stuck routine. The magnetic pulse, a failing power system. The radio emission, an automatic beacon that's been broadcasting for eons with no one left to hear it. We might be observing archaeology rather than contact, a monument to a dead civilization. That's equally profound. It would prove intelligence arises elsewhere, that technological civilization is possible. But it would also raise haunting questions. What happened to them? Why did their probe survive, but they didn't? Is technological civilization inherently unstable? Are we looking at our own future? The next 72 hours will provide critical data. But even after that, we might not have definitive answers. We might just have more questions. We might know it's artificial without knowing who built it or why. The universe rarely provides clean answers. Usually, it offers deeper mysteries. What I know for certain is this. This moment matters. How we respond to 3IATLAS will be studied by future historians. This is a test. Can we recognize something extraordinary when it arrives? Can we mobilize to investigate? Can we cooperate? Can we balance curiosity with caution? These questions matter more than the specific details about Atlas. In 93 days, it reaches Mars. In 6 months, it'll be beyond Jupiter. In 2 years, beyond Neptune. In 10 years, it would be back in the interstellar void, carrying whatever information it gathered about us to wherever it's going. Whether we'll ever know what it learned, we can't say. Whether this was our only chance, we can only hope it wasn't. But right now, in this moment, we have the opportunity to do something meaningful, to try, to investigate. That opportunity is measured in days and weeks, not years. This is the most critical moment because it's the moment we still have a choice. Soon that window closes. The object moves beyond reach. The moment passes, and we'll be left wondering what we missed.